Okay, we're back. Took last week off, had family visiting, but we're back. And feels like we can't do it again, but this week, once again, going to be working in some of my very favoriteest code in Unity. Changing scenes. So, seems like I keep saying it over and over again. We are creeping our way towards an actual release, an actual update that we can push out to people. People can test. But we still have a few things to do. We still got a few things to do before that is this is ready for public consumption. Kind of envisioning that we will push this out for public to see, public to play with, and then we'll spend some time debugging, polishing, and such things. There's a fair amount of this and that I want to do. But right now, today, the scene loading is all nicely handled for starting a new game and going back to the start menu. There's a bug that's actually been in existence for a while with going back to the start menu. Not too worried about it. It's just the little shuttles don't move when you go back to the start scene. But that workflow is working. I'm pretty happy with that. Microphone's a little loose. Weird. Oh, it's that screw that's loose. That'll be a fun one to fix. Anyways, the scene loading is working for starting a new game, go back to the start menu, but it's not working to load a saved game. I don't think it's going to be all that different, but pretty clearly that is an important piece to do. So we need to get that working, so things are happy. So that's what we're going to work on, at least to get started here. Switch over here. Okay, so let's look at a bunch of pieces that we've got. For folks who have tuned into this live stream over the last year and a half, this has been a pretty constant battle changing the way I'm loading scenes. Oh, Mike's sounding a bit weird, huh? I wonder. If I turn off some music, does that sound any better? I wonder if there's some leak through. Let me know if that sounds any better. Wonder if maybe it was popping through. I've had some issues with the mic software. I switched hardware interfaces to Elgato Wave XLR, and I'm not thrilled with the software, to be honest. We check this in real time. It's like a raspy sound when it detects sound. Oh, interesting. I wonder if the noise gate is being weird. Oh, that's interesting. Why is the noise gate not working there? Bad audio is not a good thing. Now I just took away my noise floor. Or my noise gate. All right, let's see how this sounds. Does it sound all right? We'll do a little test here. Oh, that got better for a moment. Okay, so it's got to definitely be the audio processing. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, yeah, that's horrible. Oh, geez. Yeah, thanks for the heads up on that. Let's figure out what in the world is going on there. That's horrible. Hello? Oh, nope. Hello, hello, hello. Is that any better? Oh my gosh, it's horrible. Let's try. Hello, hello. Better? Oh, that's much better. Okay, so it's definitely one of these. I wonder which one is. It's not the noise gate, that which is good. Let's try this one. Hello, how we doing? Might be that one. Hello, hello. This makes for a thrilling live stream. That was really obvious, though. So, testing. Is this any better? Oh, that's got noisy. Testing. That's sounding okay to me. I wonder if it's this multi-cue is not working right. How about that? With the multi-cue back on? Oh, that's horrible, yeah. That's horrible. That multi-cue... Huh. Like I was saying, I've had some frustrations with this software. It's been really inconsistent. It's as if... So let me know if you're very entertained. Let me know that sounds better. It sounds better on my end. I don't have headphones on. Give it one more test. See if this sounds any better. It's still not great, is it? Weird. How about this with all the effects turned off? It still sounds kind of like garbage. I'm not pleased with that at all. Almost think it's coming through my webcam. Weird. I don't know. Better? All right, we're going to run with that. Let me see if I can put the noise gate on, because then at least you don't have to hear me breathe if my keyboard clacking around. How about that? No noise gate, or with noise gate, nothing else? Yeah, this is garbage. Yeah, I really appreciate the heads up. That's kind of frustrating. Sure, all my connectors are in. What if we just go straight into something like that, just bypassing everything? Oh, that's so much. Oh, that's so much better. What in the world? All right, let's change. Hey there, Slippery Veins. We are we are doing the most interesting thing possible. My audio is being really dumb.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds okay now, I think. This is like just raw mic. This has got nothing on it. Yeah, I don't know. I was having all those camera issues before, like the camera was freezing and it was affecting. I was having issues with audio with my Go XLR, and I happen to have a Wave XLR that I'd purchased because I had some other thoughts of using two mics at one point years in the past. And so I plugged in this Wave XLR, and man, it has been inconsistent and buggy. I mean, I like the smaller form factor, but geez, I'm not impressed with the software. I am on their beta software because I wanted some of the things that the beta software does. Maybe I got to go back and see if I can figure out the regular software, because this is just frustrating. Yeah, that's no good. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think I wanted. We'll do not mess with it. Well, hopefully it's not too bad. I think a better audio quality and hearing me breathe or key clacks might be a little bit better than totally shitty audio. All right. Thanks for the heads up. Appreciate it. I will get off stream later and figure that out. Doesn't make me happy. Not a happy guy. Camper. Okay. Back to today's plan. The idea today is we've got to one of the last pieces. What is today's lecture? I ran out of words. That's what happened. What I want to do is work on the scene loading, which is like my least favorite thing to work on in Unity. I have been working on this function up here, this load save game. So this is new game. I think this is what we've been working on. Essentially, long story short, a little flustered by the microphone thing, I guess, or frustrated. Changing scenes for a new game is working. Changing scenes for loading a game is not working. It's not set up correctly. It's causing a crash in a standalone build and is causing lighting errors and issues in Unity itself. Not terribly surprising, given that I totally forgot to fix that code. Okay. So here's what we got to do. This is what is currently working. So we are... Okay. This is, again, it's this complicated piece that I really don't like, that there's too many scripts that are handling scene loading and such things. I should probably fix that. Hey, thanks for joining. Words are stupid. Words are stupid. Let me see if I can play. What's the chance that I can play a little bit of music? For myself. If I play it on stream, then YouTube gets mad and cancels my live stream. Okay, so we got to do a few things here. So this function here gets called from this event. Once the loading screen has been added, then we call this thing. I think there's arguments to not do that, not do it that way. You like changing scenes? Oh my gosh, I just hate it. What I hate about it is like getting all the little bits and pieces just right. And I just haven't found a way that I'm happy with which object is in control of that scene change, because different objects might be requesting that scene change, whether that's like a new game button or a quit or go back to start menu kind of thing. And then, yeah, and then like I've got my save and load manager here who's involved because it needs to know when stuff is done. It is undeniably a mess, and I, at this point, just want to get it working, and I'm going to leave it a mess. You're pretty funny there, Slippery Veins. Okay, so let's track where this load async comes from. Okay, so this is, we don't need to do this anymore. What we need to do is instead is call this add loading scene. So let's do that. Loading scene manager, add loading scene. We're going to do that. Boom, done. That will then trigger this event. So let's subscribe to that. Nope, wrong part of that line that I need to alter. So load async, like that. Okay. So that's the unsubscribing, and then we need to add like that. Oh yeah, write it down on paper. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I think it'd be really smart, or it sounds smart in my head, to like work on the scene changing like fairly early on in the game, because once you start building a lot of logic, changing scenes in my experience can start to break. And so if you built that in early, then I think you could avoid a lot of the hiccups that I'm dealing with right now. But that might be one of those things that just sounds good. Hey, Diamond. We are working on some scene changing logic. Working on some scene changing logic. Right now, the scene changing works if you're starting a new game, but it doesn't work if you're loading a previously saved game. So we're just going to have to rearrange things here a little bit and get that working. I don't think it's all that hard. So what I'm doing, I've gone back and forth on this a bunch. Just never really happy with the solution. So right now what I have is two main scenes, a start scene and a game scene. And there can be a little bit of crosstalk of what's going on. And so to keep things nice and clean, I now have added back in a loading scene, which is effectively just blank. It's got some visuals so that you don't get any like visual artifacting when you go from the start scene to the game scene or vice versa. And so we're just going to try to wire that up here in a way that will hopefully work. Let's pin these things because these are what I'm working on. Okay, let's start loading screen. We are going to comment that out because I don't think we need that. What we do want to do though is this kind of thing. So we want to unload the start scene because that's where we're going to be. unload the start scene. Okay, we got to clear this data. This is just for the save and load manager, so everything's ready to go. We add in the game scene. Okay. I think it might be that simple. We're going to unload the start scene. So when we pop in here, we've already got the loading scene started, or it's loaded. We're going to unload the start scene. We're going to clear all of our data so it's all ready to go. Then we load in the game scene. We play our intro. And I know this is a mess. This is just a mess. Okay, let's see if it works. Yeah, this is not code that I'm proud of. It has... I've redesigned, and there's just too many little things going on that I didn't design it very well. Yeah, there's a bunch of 2 audio listeners in the scene, and that's something that I've kind of chosen to not worry about too much. And the reason I'm choosing not to worry about that too much is because in the start scene here, there is only 1 audio listener. In the game scene, there's only 1 audio listener. And it's when I have 2 scenes loaded that's the problem. And yeah, I'm not proud of it, but it's also not causing problems. Okay, so we've got an error there that I'm concerned about for sure. But let's see if this works. Okay, we definitely... Okay, definitely didn't work. Quite right. Yeah, you can put the audio listener on the character. I think that's a good way to do it, right? Especially if you're doing 3D sound. I don't have a good way of doing that, having it follow through the scenes. I think there's just there ends up being a lot of timing pieces, right? Because you've got to, in order for there not to be a glitch in the sound, like, so when you leave the start scene, you got to turn the music down. When you then open the loading scene, yeah, I find it tricky to create a pleasant experience for the user so that there is music and there's sound, and you don't have this 5 seconds of nothing happening, black screen, looking at the character. Okay, so we got a error here. Let's go. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I have my audio listener on the camera once you're in the game scene, but the loading scene also plays audio, so I need one there. I don't know. I'm willing to accept that, like, scene loading is like this blind spot that my brain just doesn't handle. But again, I do think it's one of those things that if you build it in early in your project, it's going to be a lot easier. Okay, so I'm curious why we effectively built a new world. We did not load. So I missed something. I have removed. Don't think I need that. Okay, so yeah, asyncs pretty sweet. Or I should say the Unity's implementation of the awaitable class is pretty slick. It's pretty easy to use. And I've actually found it to be, for the most part, easier and better to use than coroutines. I probably said it before on stream. All right, let's go back and look and see what my reversions here are. I didn't. So why aren't we triggering? Okay, so we are. There's my. Why isn't this? Huh. Oh, I wonder if I saved over. Why isn't likening these awaits? I added a little plugin to let me know when I was creating garbage. So it sees these awaitables, the awaitable type in particular, as a potential source of garbage. It's a nice little add-on. It helped in a lot of ways, but there are things like this that I kind of wish I could force it to ignore. Again, they're right that there is some garbage creation going on here, potentially, but Unity also does has a pooling system with their awaitables so that it reduces the amount of garbage. Yeah, it's pretty nice. You'll see it too when I use Lambda functions, anonymous functions. You'll see it there too. Oh, actually, like right here. Yeah, I'm going to create some garbage here. Okay, let's put a block in there and say, I mean, maybe this is working. Maybe, but I don't think so. My save file. Oh, what was the name of the plugin? Oh, geez. I don't know, to be honest. I think if you search for Visual Studio, like C# garbage plugin, you can probably find something similar. I can look here in a minute and see if I can find it. It definitely helped in a few places. There were things where I didn't realize I was creating garbage, and we're still getting, like, what is that about? Okay, so okay, but ooh, I didn't hit that breakpoint, did I not? All right, let's just make sure we're even getting in here, because I have a feeling that I'm not getting there. Either that, or actually, I bet you it's this error that's preventing us from doing it. That. What could possibly be null in there? Do I ever collect garbage manually? No, I don't. Not in this project. I feel like I've looked into that at one point and kind of learned how that worked at one point. Like, what is possibly null here? Yeah, see, somehow we're going into the new. Oh, I know. Okay, I know what's going on. I don't know why I don't know why that's null. That is a big mystery to me. Let me see here if I can find your plugin. Where are we looking for extensions? Here you go. Here's the CLR heap allocation analyzer. I will, if I can highlight it, I'll stick it in. There you go. It's impossible to cache wait for seconds. Really? That's news to me, if that's true. I have definitely cached wait for seconds, so I guess I haven't checked to see if that was effective. Yeah. Yeah, it seems. And again, that could be if that kind of garbage collection is an issue with your project, switching over to awaitable might. Oh, because you always cache for a different amount. Yeah. If you always cache for a different amount, that's true. But you can cache. I believe you can cache for certain values. So if you are, I mean, if the amount that you're waiting for is always different, then yeah, you're probably out on that one. But a lot of the times what I'm waiting for is a fixed amount, and so I'll cache that. And again, the awaitables, my understanding is Unity does that kind of pulling caching for you behind the scenes. So often you'll see, if you're running an awaitable, you'll see garbage like the first time it runs. You'll see a little spike. Well, it doesn't entirely make sense, does it? You would see garbage when it first runs. I might be talking out of my ass. Yeah, I've appreciated having that little plugin. Okay, I know what's going on. Okay, so what we've got to do is a little jankiness. We are going to call this thing okay, so we do like that. Oh, this might just cause more problems. So this is where the complexity comes in that I just haven't been able to wrap my head around and solve. Like there's just different workflows if you're loading a game versus starting a new game. And that it just builds a messiness. All right, let's see if we can actually okay, now we're actually loading. Okay, now we are actually loading. There we go. Okay. So I don't like it. I think there's a fragility in what I have created here. That I want to go back and fix here. Because right now, so I have two functions in my save and load manager that are listening to this event, and that was causing the issue that one was you can't really necessarily, well, I guess you can control the order if they're coming from the same script. Well, that's sketchball. I don't like it. So we're going to fix that. This is another glaring issue right now. Oh, it's hidden by my picture, but the update here, it takes a long time to spawn enemy units, and I don't know why. This is something that's crept into the game. Let's see here. Oops, that doesn't work. All right, there's our problem. Okay, so our loading scene. Oh, we're just not unloading our loading scene. Let's see. So if I can't unload it. Let's see if why won't it let me? Why are those grayed out? It's unfortunate. Okay, so I think definitely what's happening here is the there we go. Okay. So everything looks pretty good. That's working. Oh, the other piece that's not getting saved right now, the border tiles aren't getting saved. So we should work on that one too. That's a separate system, a separate thing to do. Okay, that's now working. So we're now loading correctly, but we are not unloading the loading scene. Callback loading. Okay, let's try that. I didn't pay attention if I was still getting that null error last time on that line. Nope, it's gone away. You know what? My brain's still going on that audio issue. I think I know what my solution is. So one of the things that I've done in the past is, I don't know if I love this. With my Go XLR, I actually had my speakers connected to the headphone, the monitoring output there. And I didn't love that solution, and I think I tried to get around that solution currently. I might with the Wave XLR, and I might just have to go back to that to get the control that I want. Man, those enemy units, I don't know why the enemy units are taking so long to spawn. It's really strange. Yeah. The 2 listener thing. I wish you could set it like, I don't know. I wish, I mean, Unity kind of handles it because it's not a problem. You just spam your spam the log. So it's potential that the log file is heinous. Then I have 3,000 of these messages. So maybe it's worth fixing. But what's tough about it is that you can turn them on and off, but I don't know. It seems unnecessarily complex. It almost feels like if you had something, I mean, if you're only allowed one, I don't know. It just feels clumsy. It feels like there's got to be a better solution, but maybe in the clumsiness, you also get a lot of customization. So that might be an okay thing. All right, let's see where this is. Okay, let's get rid of that. Oh, actually, let's just do. Okay, yep. Let's just move this up here. That's really what we want. That's cleaner. That's better in every way, shape, and form. Okay, so let's look at the subscription to these loading events that are causing, I'm worried about causing some fragility. So this is the issue here, that we have these 2 functions that are both listening to these events. So let's do, it's still a little fragile. I don't love it. We can do this. This makes me feel dirty. Let's see. What does a profiler say? Found is a good word. Come on now. It is a good word. there's, there's, I feel like in every project there's like that word that I can't spell correctly, and there was someone in this. It was in this project somewhere. I don't remember what word it was. I'm a horrible speller, and it was like everywhere. It was something like, I don't think it was resource, but it was something like a resource. It was something that I was using everywhere in the game. And I don't know. I'd been on the project for a year and a half, 2 years, and then I realized I'd been spelling this word wrong, and it was all throughout the code spelled wrong. Made me laugh. Okay, let's give that one more shot. I think we are good to go with that. And then we can work on these loading these edge tiles. Or saving them, rather. We need to save them. I mean, I guess we could I don't want to go regenerating. That's going to mix up codes and classes. So let's see. Let's try that one more time. Oh, in the unit situation? Yeah, I need to go look at that. It's weird too, because I redid some of the timing to make the loading faster, and that had never been an issue, and all of a sudden it pops up as an issue. So I want to test too as well. I want to test and see whether that's an issue in the build. Because every once in a while, things like that just aren't an issue. In the build, they are in the editor for some reason. It's a quiet day today. I have this little conspiracy theory that the earlier I post the live stream, the less traffic I get, and I think I posted it last night. Yeah, this is really slow. All right, let's oh, like we're like full on. We're like full on like editor not working. No, we may not have caught it. Oh, I mean, there's a huge spike. 500 milliseconds for the frame. It's not good. Coroutine delayed calls. Yeah, I think there's got to be something about the prefab itself, because UI activator. I mean, there's not one big glaring thing here. This is yeah, that's interesting. We might have to be a little bit more careful with where we grab the profiler from, or when we do it. We can look at it again, but okay. Other than that, lag spike, that is all working pretty well. Also, I don't know if I showed this off. I don't know if we had this fully working last time. It's that's not what I want. It's bad that I've totally forgotten what I called the thing. Oh yeah, relay. We were reading. Okay. The relays. Can't remember if we had these in here. The relays are now working. That's really what I want to get to. I really want to get to testing these and figuring out these relays and exactly play testing these a bunch. Yeah, it's often better to do deep profiling. I agree. There's a big lag spike there too, of turning things on. It just it's just slow, right? Oop. Keep forgetting these guys. I saved the game here without like connecting things. So this poor tower over here just gets hammered. Okay. This glitching is another thing I would really, really like to get rid of. You can see these tiles are Z-fighting. I thought I'd fixed it. I thought I'd spaced them, but it is... Oh, I see what's going on. It's that... I thought I'd fixed that, but apparently I have not. I just need to shrink them a little bit and hope we get it past the Z-fighting. What are the what there? Oh, the little enemies? Have you not seen the enemies? Yeah. We got enemies. Oh, yeah. Yep. Right now there's really... there's only two different enemy... Well... two distinctly different enemies. There's two ground units right now, and an air-based unit. Yeah, so that's what drops this resource here, this pink resource that's getting collected here by this tower. That's how we build new land. We harvest their souls and turn it into dirt. All right. Unity editor is throwing some errors. Okay, let's see. I didn't set their animation to start at a random time. Nope. I don't think so. Those guys, yeah, they appear every night. So that's what the timer's for here. Oops. All right, so that's done. I mean, there's still, it's amazing to me how many little things you got to do before you can release a game with a little bit of content. Like the amount of work to just to add a little bit of content is pretty phenomenal. I guess there's two things that I want to do still. We can try to hunt down that performance issue of instantiating those enemies, which I feel like something's changed. Maybe I should go look at the prefabs themselves and see what's going on, see if there's something obvious there. That's one piece I'd like to get fixed. The other piece is our world map here. We need to figure out when it unlocks, when this button unlocks. So when you start a new game, a lot of these buttons down here are locked. Just to kind of prevent the player from having way too much kind of overload at the beginning of the game. But at some point that world map's got to get unlocked. And we've got to add some piece to the tutorial to kind of explain what's going on. I mean, maybe, or does that make sense? Oh, I see what you're saying. Do they move in a similar way? Um, I mean, they get all. I don't know. Actually, I set up those animations so long ago. It's possible that they all start at the same time. Okay, so here's another thought on unlocking that world map. What if that becomes an upgrade itself? What if that is something that you... Does that make sense to access that as an upgrade? It feels a little cheaty. Yeah, Hive Mind. I mean, the way they are animated is there is they come out kind of in groups. I think it's 6 or 7 in a group, and they don't all have their own navigation. They are following another object. They're just kind of lerping their way along, basically. So that might cause some synchronization. But I don't know. I wonder about that. What is that? Does that make sense for the world map to be an upgrade? Yeah, I think you're right. We should look at that. One of these days, I've got two more enemy types that have been prototyped and kind of work. One of these days, we'll do a combat update and kind of go back and polish things. But I think you're right. That would probably look better. And but before I get too distracted by trying to make everything perfect, we got to get this piece working. So I got to think about, I'm going to sit down here. I'm tired. I've been standing a lot of the day. I got to think about, oh, now you guys all get to hear the desk go down because there's no noise gate. I need to think about under what conditions should that world map unlock. I mean, it could be a thing of just... It could be a thing of where you're just like... You could leave it unlocked and just have people play with it. That kind of avoids any sort of... tutorial aspect about it. It also kind of avoids like pointing out that it's there. One of the things that, and I do this too when I play games, like I think it's really easy to miss important details, miss important buttons and not know they're there. So I think the tutorial is also a way to call it out. Hey, I love Shayla. Yeah, how long has it been? Whew. 4 years. 4 years of very inconsistent work. We'll put it that way. And not full time. All right, those guys are now powered up, which is good. All right, we're going to build a little collection tower. That doesn't really matter all that much over there, but okay. I don't think about that. I don't know if people have got, you don't like noise gates, to be honest. So I've heard some people don't like it. I don't hear it. I usually tune mine down as low as I can go, or I have on this one, but. Okay, so I'm just kind of wandering. My brain is tired. I haven't been, it's interesting at work. I haven't been super productive in the sense of like writing lots of code or like changing functionality, but I have been kind of deep in some more challenging work. And so I'm definitely finding myself more tired these days after work. Either that or I'm just an old fart and I'm getting tired. It's also possible. Okay. I want to keep thinking about when it makes sense to unlock that world map. I guess I'm thinking about like, it could be open. It could just be there, which is one thing. And you could open it up and then have some tutorial about, hey, this is what's going on. I think that's an option. It could be an upgrade in the tech tree, right? It could be somewhere here in the tech tree, fairly early on. That you could unlock it, but that's the only thing in the tech. That would be the only thing like that in the tech tree. So I don't know that fits well. In retrospect, I could have maybe had like the market or some other functionality in there, but I don't know. It feels a little weird to have that in there. I think it's an easy solution because then it's just purchasable by the player. Makes sense, but almost everything else here has to do with units and tiles. I guess the other way to do that, I don't know if I like this either, is you could kind of double down on that upgrade idea, that one upgrade unlocks the map, and then, or maybe it doesn't unlock the map, but it like unlocks a license. And so like you buy a license for another sector, and when you buy that first sector, it unlocks the map. I don't know how much I love that, because then that connects this data for a couple of reasons. I don't like that. One of the reasons is I don't know how many sectors I have, and the number of sectors I have should match the number of upgrades you can have. And then where do you put them in there? So I don't like that, but it is an interesting idea. I could make the world map unlock when, say, you have a certain amount of money or your reputation gets to a certain point. Maybe reputation might make a fair amount of sense, because that's a little underused. Let's see what you're saying here. Yeah, you've been working with your current game for 2 years, barely have any gameplay. Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough because I think it's just super easy to overscope. And this game in particular, I don't know that this game is deeply overscoped. I'm not sure. I mean, yes, it is. I mean, of course it is. But I would have a hard time knowing what to pull away. I think if I had to redo anything, I might get rid of the enemies. I feel like that's a little bit of a distraction that's not well executed in this game. What I do like about it, and I've seen this in some reviews, that the enemies do kind of, they add a certain pace to the game. So that's not a bad thing. I don't know. Yeah, maybe some NPC sends you some map data after some trigger. Yeah, it's just a matter of trying to figure out what that trigger might be. I think some reputation might actually be a good way to do that. I think that makes sense. The reputation is basically a proxy for your score, if you will. As you build up, you get more and more reputation. And so, and a bunch of different things get you reputation. You get reputation for killing enemies. You get reputation for building buildings. I think there should still be a reputation award for like that shuttle that just took off. Yeah, it's effectively a proxy for that. So I like that idea. Let's work with that idea. So let's do that. Let's see if we can build that up. The reputation is underutilized mechanic right now. So let's build that. What's the progression like? The progression is, there is no, let's finish this up here. Get rid of this stuff. Close out. The progression is really intended to be largely driven by the player. Build at your own pace. So the faster you make money, the faster you can progress through the tech tree. There are some directives that come through that play a similar role as quests. They're basically there to help the player keep moving. They do things like you get reputation for completing a directive, so that keeps building that. It ensures that there's something going on, that the player's moving forward, and so sometimes that's contextually sensitive. So like when you unlock a new building, there's a directive to build some of that building. As you produce more and more resources, you get directives to export some of the resources that you're now capable of producing. It's not super sophisticated, or super clever is maybe the better word for it. It's not super clever. But yeah, it's really intended to kind of progress at your own pace, build as you go. If you want to spend a long time polishing up each little part of the map, you can do that. If you want to, if you want to, just blow through the tech tree as quick as you can build, you can maximize your money. It's kind of up to you. So your question is it all in one map? It is all in one map right now. And so, right, so we have these sectors that you're unlocking. That's what the world map is doing. It's unlocking those sectors so you can, or leasing them so that you can build and expand. And right now again, this is where some playtesting's got to come in. I'm aiming to have 15 sectors that the player can unlock, which, if I'm honest, is going to be more than enough land for 95% of the people, 98% of the people who play the game. Okay, so here we go. Here's our change in reputation, but now we need to figure out we've got this event that gets called. So I think maybe when we get to reputation, 1,500, maybe even 2,000, that's when the world map can unlock. So let's go here and take a look at how I've done this in the past. Let's go look at some of these buttons. Bottom right buttons. All right, so that's not going to help me very much. Let's look at unlock market. So I've got an unlock market button. Let's go look at the script and see who's listening to this. Okay, so that makes sense. This is just a trigger base. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's build that first. We're going to have to, there's going to be a little bit of a refresher here in terms of how I've built all this system. So the way my directive system works, I have communications, I have directives, and I have triggers. And the triggers are what they sound like. They trigger an event. Directives are effectively requests, and there's a whole bunch of options built into that. And then the communication is what the player can hear and or read. So let's build this here. Okay, so unlock world map trigger. Okay, this is going to inherit from trigger base like that. This is one, unlike my scene changing, this is a architecture that I'm reasonably proud of. That feels a little strong. But it's proven to be pretty durable. Yeah, okay, just checking to see what else I had done there. Okay, that trigger is pretty darn simple. And then we create file name, unlock world map trigger, menu name, so this is a scriptable object that I can drop into other things and places. So what we'll do is create a communication that plays when our reputation reaches a certain amount, and then as that communication plays, it can trigger this trigger and unlock the world map. Okay, so let's go into world map. We want world map window. Let's go look and see how we did it here. Okay, so we have an open button. This is kind of what I wanted to see. Let's bring that over here to our world map window. Something like that. Okay, and then so what we want to do is we're going to go find that unlock world map trigger. Okay, we're going to create a function like that. Let's see, what y statics, nor di containers. Sorry, I didn't see your comment in time. I'm not sure quite what you are referring to. This what static? Is that the reputation manager? I mean, if you're talking about dependency injection, in all honesty, right? If these are the statics that you're looking at, these static values are here just for ease of use. nothing more than that. Just ease of use. In terms like these are simple values. They've got public getters but no setters. It feels pretty safe to me to do it that way. I mean, definitely like kind of a dependency injections idea, but these are values that potentially need to get checked by a whole bunch of things throughout the game. And so maybe I'm just not sophisticated enough to know how to do that in a dependency injection sense. All right, let's, or without creating a mess of what I would consider a mess of, that's not what I wanted. Just a spaghetti string mess of all that injection and such things. I mean, I guess you could potentially do it like injecting like a scriptable object or something like that, that there's yeah. Yeah, spaghetti. I feel pretty, again, I feel pretty comfortable with static, public static values if I'm just getting the value, especially when it's just something like a float or an integer. I've certainly run into issues where you have more complex data structures that are static, and you start running into like singleton kind of issues. That can be problematic. Look at that. It just plugs in there. It's almost like I should have that in the base class instead of having it. I don't really want it in the base class because not all my windows have buttons, but okay. Oh, you know, I didn't do... Man, I'm really tired. I don't know what else to say. I am really tired. My brain's in a fog today. Let's go. Yeah, a lot of people really hate on singletons. Yeah, a lot of people hate on singletons. And I think my opinion is that my opinion of singletons is that they aren't usually that big of a deal, but when they do become a problem, they are a giant pain in the ass. The only times that I have really run into singletons being a problem, I don't by and large, I'm not using singletons in this project. I'd rather go find a reference to it and have that reference. I don't think that's a big performance issue, which contradicts a little bit of what I was saying about those values in the reputation manager being static and easy access. Because you kind of create a singleton-ish kind of thing there. What I ran into at work was we had singletons absolutely everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Almost all of our manager classes were singletons, and you know, you kind of follow that lazy instantiation pattern. So they created themselves. And so sometimes you could create a singleton the rest of your scene was really ready to have that singleton. So you could create that singleton, and then, right, you create it by looking for it, essentially, with that lazy instantiation pattern. And then immediately after, because you found it, because it just got created, you start looking for data on that singleton. And so at work, we've only run into this a few times, but it caused a mess. Some of that data that was going to be on that singleton was coming down from a server. And so you create the singleton, but the data is not there yet. And then you end up with all these unexpected errors because the class exists, but the data doesn't exist, or the data is not initialized yet. We have since stopped using the singleton pattern as much at work, which I appreciate. Yeah, I think the singleton pattern is one of those things that it's great until it's not, and when it's not, it really it can be a giant pain in the ass to make it work. Okay, so let's look here. We gotta do some adjustments here. Map unlocked. If we're not unlocked, return. All right, and we need to make sure this starts as false. Okay, we need to do that. Let's also look at our market window. We need to look at... Oh, that's not really what I want to look at. I want to look at open button, see if we're doing anything else. Does this actually get locked? Turn button off. Okay, so let's do that as well. We're going to need a turn button off. Let's just call that lock button to keep it a little bit more consistent, at least in this class. And then let's look at where this gets called. So yeah, okay, we call that on awake, which is what we want. All right. Let's see what you're saying here. Have a wait for frame or until it's there. You can do stuff like that. I think when you start waiting a frame, that's often kind of what I might refer to as a code smell. That there is an indication that things are not put together very cleverly. I don't have the right technical verb for that, but when you start waiting a frame, in my mind, that is a clear indication that something's wrong with the way that you put your code together. And it's not a problem when you wait one frame, but then when one class has to wait one frame, there's a darn good chance somewhere later in your game, you're going to have another class that now has to wait 2 frames because it has to wait for that other class to initialize. And that becomes a pretty disastrous pattern. Trying to keep track of that. Yeah. And again, for me, that's an issue. Like if I have to wait one frame once, okay, fine. But if I start having to wait multiple frames, big code smell, you got to fix it. Because it's likely to bite you in the ass later. Yeah. Okay, this isn't all going to work yet, but I think this is good. We've now should be able to lock our button. We got to go get those references. We added some references to our world map here, so let's world map. There's our button. There's our missing reference down there. Bottom right buttons. There we go. Okay, save that. The other thing, we need to actually create this trigger. And then we got to figure out where to put all this stuff. So let's go down here to, what am I looking for? Scriptable objects, that's what I'm looking for. Communications. Oh, there, okay, there's triggers. Okay, let's create our trigger. No, I didn't actually put it there. Unlock world map trigger. I put it in the wrong spot, but that's okay. Okay, so there is our trigger. I guess we can test it. Let's test to make sure that that actually unlocks. Let's see. Yeah, you haven't touched multiplayer. Yeah, multiplayer is what? Why are we? Why the hell is that causing a problem now? Oh, I must have something else that's not. Okay, I missed. Okay. Yeah, multiplayer is a giant beast, and I think if a solo developer is going to take on a multiplayer game, and or even just a small team of 2 or 3 people, like the game's going to have to be really simple. It's going to have to be really simple in other aspects. And I think that's one of the things that I'm still continuing to learn what all that means, but when a small team or an individual takes on a game, like you have to make compromises in your game design. Like how players referred to as director. Well, the name of the game, Deep Space Directive. You are the director. All right, close. Okay, so cool. The world map is currently locked. Like I cannot open it. That button does not work. These buttons do work. And then if I unlock this, boop, I get my nice little animation and my world map opens. Cool. So trigger works. That's all good. And let's also look at state of the game. This has a bunch of triggers that get played. So let's add in unlock world map to that. That way, okay, so the idea there, the state of the game, this is a little pop-up that plays for the player. Hey, the game's in development. We're still working on it. Blah, blah, blah. It's also as a menu that allows the player to skip the tutorial versus walk through the tutorial. And so there's a bunch of these triggers that get invoked if they go to, if they skip the tutorial. And they're called after HQ triggers because they actually unlock once the player places their headquarters. Because turned out there was a bunch of initialization stuff that got messed up if we didn't have a headquarters. I thought it was a clever solution. Okay, next piece. We need to make a communication. And let's see if we have a... Let's add a communication here. I think we can just do a communication play now. I just lost it. All right, hex, communication, play now. World map. All right, so we got our world map here. And actually, we want to trigger this ahead of time. So this is one of the reasons I like this structure that I put together here. It's not perfect. It could definitely use some work, but this is my communication. So I can have a trigger before or after. I can have another communication that plays after that as well if we just want to continue to go. I can drop in my audio clip. It works well. I can even drop in a different avatar so we can play with so if the message is going to come from somebody else. And we can play an audio clip here, which I'm always going back and forth. Whether my AI voices are good or not. As a former teacher, I like the tutorial being both audio and text, letting the player kind of choose which way they engage with it. But myself included, I'm pretty sick and tired of AI. And the people are sensitive to AI. So let's see, what do we want to say here? See, the corporation has granted us the ability to lease more land and expand our colony. Let's see. This kind of fills in as a tutorial, so we got to figure out here how much we want to tell the player. The corporation has granted us the ability to lease more land and expand our colony. Additional sectors can be leased from the world map. From the map, and we'll call it the world map. I don't know if I like the name world map, but we're going to run with it. Each sector type, unique resource profile. Has a unique resource profile. Let's see what you're saying here. Can you have the text string in the scriptable object be referenced from another class? Sure. Yep. The other class just has to have a reference to the scriptable object. Yep. But yeah, you just you can make the string public or have a public getter. And that's what I'm doing here. So this text up here is just a string, and it's accessible by the communication system, which is how it gets. I'm pointing to my monitor. That's how it gets printed out there. But yeah, you just have to pass a reference to the scriptable object. I'm a big fan of scriptable objects. I really, really like them. Each sector has let's see. Each sector has a unique resource profile. Each sector type has a unique profile. Each sector has. I feel like that's an important piece of information, that each sector has a unique resource profile, but I feel like there needs to be one more sentence after that. Can be leased from the world map. Has a unique profile. Oh, so scriptable object can get it from another class, so you don't have to type it. Yeah, I mean, in the sense of a scriptable object it's not anything crazy special. It's just a C# class that has some extra functionality bolted onto it. Isn't a static class, so the scriptable object gets it from there. You could do what you're asking. There's nothing that would prevent you from doing that. I would say I would question why you are doing that. that seems to kind of break the pattern of a scriptable object, which is largely as a data container. So if the data exists on another class, I would question what the scriptable object is for. I'm not saying there's not a use case for that. I can imagine maybe if you're pulling something from a spreadsheet into another class and then you want to push it over to a scriptable object, that could make sense. But yeah, I would say that you're getting close to, you're kind of pushing against the scriptable object pattern a little bit there, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, you can, I mean, you can do that. So all the text is in one area. Certainly there's pros and cons to that, right? So the con to the way I've done it is I have all these separate communications. And so, like tracking a conversation, so to speak, from like when an event happens, if there's multiple communications that are kind of tied to each other, or there's multiple events, it can be difficult to see that. In your case, what I would, if I was designing what you were, something like what you're talking about, where you have all your strings in one class, what I would be tempted to do is still have the string exist on the scriptable object, but have that class that might be editing them have a reference to the scriptable object. So you can edit the string, but the data still all lives on that scriptable object. Like if I was to create a nice dialogue conversation editor, that would be a use case for pushing a string or other values onto a scriptable object. The one thing I wish I had here for these communications is I wish there was a visual editor for how they all went together and flowed together. That would be really, really helpful. But that's way, way over scoped for my little project. It would, that would be months worth of work to put that together, and it's not great. Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's the part you couldn't figure out. Yeah, I mean, I work for them, so a little bit of conflict of interest. But Odin is fantastic for creating those kind of editors, and Odin plays really nice with scriptable objects. Yeah, so if you're trying to get a particular string from a class, then you're probably, maybe I think maybe I have an idea of what you're talking about. So in that case, like you might need to have like an interface or some inheritance so that an interface or some inheritance would work for you. So like my communication here, this is a play now communication. Let's see if this will open it up. Like this is a certain type of communication, but it all inherits from communication base. Whereas I have this public getter that exists on the base class. And so anything that inherits from communication base, I know that's always going to be there. Yeah, that's fair. Odin, if you watch for it, it goes on sale half price pretty frequently. Yeah, I work for them. I make all their, I've made all their videos for them in the last 5 or 6 years. Each sector has a unique profile. Before leasing a sector, make sure it contains the resources you need. Whatever. We'll come back. I'll probably edit that a bunch as we go. But there's my world map. World map unlocked. Okay, so we've got that. I think a directive makes a lot of sense here. So we're going to, I might have to create my own, I'm going to have to create my own directive here. That's okay. That's not, shouldn't be too hard. All right, unlock world or lease. We're going to call this lease sector directive. Let's open that up. I think I might actually want to make this a quest. And because I haven't made a quest in a very, very long time, let's go take a look and see what all the... Let's go find an example here that might be... building directive. Let's go look at our building directive. Let's use that as an example. That is a directive based on a quest. Okay. Honestly, there's part of me like my brain has forgotten what the quest is. All right, it's got a bunch of other use cases. Okay, I think the directive base is sufficient. Okay, let's pull our building directive into a parallel window here so we can kind of compare. While we're at it, let's give this thing a menu name. Okay. Let's be maybe a little complete here. We don't need to make it public. Serialized field, private int, sectors to lease. We're going to set that as a 1. It's probably going to be 1 almost all of the time. Let's get our initialization over here. We need a base initialization. We do need to do some listening here. So let's go back and figure out what we need to listen to. So our world map. Let's see where we... Actually, it's going to be in our sector manager, isn't it? Sector unlocked. There we go. Okay, that's the event we need to listen to. Sector unlocked. Sector manager. Sector unlocked. Sector unlocked. Nope. Yeah, the side-by-side is pretty nice. Quest is the VR thing? No, Quest is just like a quest in a game, right? Like in a role-playing game, you're given a quest. I mean, it is a VR thing too. Yeah, the side-by-side works pretty well. This is where I think a widescreen is helpful. You don't even need like a super widescreen, but a little widescreen you can get this going. In my ideal world, I'd have, well, more monitors. There's a new Dell monitor that I think is amazing looking for productivity. I would love to have that for work and for development. It'd be freaking awesome. But it's $3,000. So, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. All right. On complete. So we got a bunch of things we got to override here. On complete, we need to unsubscribe. Okay, cool. So let's go count least count. Let's just call it sector count equals 0. So here now when we unlock this, we're going to do sector count plus plus. And what we want to do then is, let's see, where do we... then we're going to call directive update. Directive updated. Okay, and that's going to force... so every time the sector gets unlocked, we want to increment our number and then say the director's updated or directive is updated, which forces a refresh of the UI and also checks for a complete condition. So let's look at our is complete. I just want to see how we put that together. Nope, I don't want to override that one yet. I want to override this one. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting structure that I've put together. So because a directive can have multiple requirements and multiple pieces, this is complete actually returns a list of Booleans so that you can know if all of the requirements are met. And so somewhere deep in the bowels of the systems, it checks if all of these bools are true. It just keeps things nice in general. We also then need to do something similar here with our display text. This also returns a string so that a directive can have multiple objectives. So there's probably better ways of doing that, but this is what my little brain came up with, and it works. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so that does that. So we want to do lease. What do we want to say here? Let's go look at another example of directives and see if we can find... Here's a collect resource. Let's bring that over here. I just kind of want to make sure I'm following a similar pattern here. So lease a sector. So we do something like that, lease a sector, and then we're going to say so we can have sector count slash sectors to lease. Lease new lease new well, we can just do lease sector, that's okay. You know the Diddy's Long Conquest? Not Diddy's Kong. It's Diddy's Conquest. Oh, I missed too many of your comments here. I'm reading backwards. I thought I saw them all. All right. Okay. You're goofing around with the questing. All right. You never know. You never know with people. Try not to assume things. Oh, man. Okay. Let's see. So that's what this looks like. Let's make sure. Let's just see here if we missed anything. So on complete. Oh, that's okay. Those are the other things we need to do here. On complete. On complete trigger. Let's just actually. Okay, we just want to make sure we do that. And then the other thing we need to do is... Oh, maybe it happens in the space initialization. No. Let's make sure. So we've got... Oh, this is the directive. Okay, right. Okay, so the idea here is once you complete a directive, right? We want to, if there's any triggers attached to it, we want to make sure that we do those triggers so that maybe another directive gets spawned, maybe a communication gets spawned. Yep. The other thing we need to do, okay, yeah, we need to do just a few of these kind of boilerplate things that are easy to forget. So, okay, these are all subscriptions. We don't care about that. Check if already built. That's specific to this. Okay, that's specific to that. But we do want to make sure this communication gets added. And potentially, okay, there's this trigger or this communication that gets added when we're done. Cool. Man, when I was a kid, I didn't play Super NES. We played the NES. I didn't get to play a Super Nintendo until I don't think till college, really. I can't remember if we had a Super NES or a GameCube in college. I wasn't really a console guy at all. Still not really. Wasn't a console guy in middle school and high school. I had a NES as I don't know, 4th, 5th, 6th grader. Okay, that directive is complete. All right, directives. So let's add that directive. I don't actually know where did I put it? Directives, lease sector directive, okay. Create hex directives. Oh, geez. Come on. All right. All right, lease sector directive. Cool. So I guess the difference here is if I do right. So if I do a directive, there's no reward for it. So let's do a directive here, world. So maybe let's change that. Let's make this a directive quest. Everything should stay the same, but now I can actually give an award or reward for doing this, which is a little silly in the sense of the reward is that you are getting more land to expand into. Okay, it's going to be corporate. That gives it a little colored star. Helps the player distinguish what's going on. What do we want to do? We can give a... Could use a building reward. That would be interesting. Unlock a building. We could give some... it just seems weird to, right? Like you're asking the player to spend a bunch of money. We'll do something like that. I think that works. Okay, last piece we got to do here. We've got the communication, we've got the directive, we've got the trigger. We need to basically invoke that communication, and that's going to happen over here in our reputation manager. I think. Oh, let's go look and see where else that might make sense to put. There's a better place to put that. We could put it on a corporate manager, but that's not really dealing with that. Directive is a very fancy word. Yes, it is. Oh, sorry. Again, you're missing all your comments here. Emulators. I've played with emulators a little bit. When I was a teacher, we used to... I had a year where we had this project and we built like controllers with Raspberry Pis in them for emulators. That was pretty fun, but I haven't done it a ton. Yeah, I have a Switch that I play occasionally, but it's rare that a game really, really grabs me. I'd kind of rather be building games than playing them for the most part. Okay, so communication manager. We're going to drop it in here because I think this kind of matches the pattern that we have. Let's go in here. I think we can close those things now. All right, world map and serialized field. Okay, so, and we need so the other piece in here is we need to do some saving here, whether we've done this or not. Okay, so we're going to do reputation manager. Reputation changed. Unlock world map. It is amazing how many places you have to connect to do something like this. Let me unsubscribe while I remember. Anytime that I have not unsubscribed and thought I could get away with it, I don't. It comes back and bites me in the ass. All right, so let's see if reputation is greater than or equal reputation to unlock map. Well, let's just do, I like guard clauses. Let's return. Otherwise, we're going to do communication manager, communication menu. Add communication, world map unlocked. Okay. Or world map unlocked. So basically we're going to check our reputation. If it's less than this required amount, we're going to ignore the change in reputation. Or if the world map is already unlocked, let's actually do we're going to unsubscribe when this happens so we don't keep getting it called over and over again. But I think we still want to put this in here, world map unlocked. No, we want to do that a little differently. Nope, we want to do that still differently still. What I'm trying to think in my head here is when we load a game, we want to make sure that this when we load a game, we need to make sure that the menu is unlocked correctly. Yeah, Terraria. I've actually played Terraria. Pretty sure I played Terraria. I'd be surprised if I haven't. It didn't suck me in. You know what? Like I don't know. Sometimes games get too complex or tedious, and I kind of check out of them. It's a rare game that pulls me in over and over again. The game that did pull me in for a little while that's similar was Dig or Die. I quite enjoyed Dig or Die. I didn't finish the game. I don't actually even know if that game has a completion piece, but I really did enjoy that one. It's a similar idea, 2D sprite running around, crafting shit. Lucky one. Yeah, it's not that I didn't like the game. Like it's not like I was in the 1% of people who've put in a negative review. Okay, that'll keep this thing. Maybe I want to do this differently. Maybe I don't want to do the guard clause like that. because that makes my logic actually more complex in this case. So basically, if the reputation is greater than that, and world map is not unlocked, then we play that. Otherwise, we unsubscribe and we're done. We're out. Okay, so that takes care of that piece. There's a lot of pieces here that we haven't tested yet. So I want to go back and look at what I don't know how I'm handling, or I don't remember how I'm handling, is how do we unlock this? Okay, there we go. So we're actually loading it in the class itself. Okay. Which means my world map now has to save data. I save data. Man, there's so much to add. All right, let's pull the split screen again here, because we basically have to do the same thing. Is this an unneeded function? Yes, let's pop that out of there. All right, private constant string world map unlocked corals world map unlocked. How are we doing on time wise? Oh, we're definitely getting towards the end here. I think we can get this done before too long here, and give it a little test. I'm not maybe going to test everything, but all right, let's grab this. We're just going to copy that because my brain's tired, and we're going to do world map unlocked. Okay, couldn't remember what I called that variable. We're going to save it like that. Okay. We're just going to copy that across. Okay. Why are you yelling at that? Oh, because it didn't come across as async. Nothing like editing what? 7 classes and writing, I don't know, 50 lines of code and not testing it. Sweet. Let's check and see. I want to see here. Can I have a... let's add in a button for this here so we can manually check that. And then let's put a breakpoint in over here. because that's supposed to get called. All right, we will do a quick test here, and what I'm planning on seeing. Oh, have I tried Starbound? I have tried Starbound too. Yep, it's been a couple years making Starbound mods. That's crazy. I have played it. That one didn't grab me really much at all. I felt, yeah, I don't know, didn't grab me. Okay, wait. Oh, okay. So we hit that because we're. Oh no. Okay, so we broke the lift already because we're unsubscribed, which we didn't want to be. Oh, my brain's tired. Why can't I think of the logic here? The reputation changes all the time, so of course we're gonna hit this all the time. Let's do that. We'll wrap that in there. Am I on next Thursday? I should be. Yep. That I should be on next Thursday. Let's see. I should be on for the next 2, maybe 3 weeks. At some point, my wife's on spring break, and we'll be gone for another week. Yeah, but it should be on next Thursday. All right, reputation's there. So let's put a breakpoint in here. Okay, and so if I add 1,000, reputation goes up, but we didn't trigger it. Oh wait, we're locked. Oh, because I skipped the crap. I skipped the. Oh. All right, Slippery Veins. Have a good night. Get some sleep. Appreciate you joining as always. Let's not skip the tutorial because that won't unlock all my buttons down here. Okay, great. That works. There's still, I think, a few issues here that we got to work out. So if I add 1,000, we didn't hit our threshold. If I add another 500. All right, now we've hit this. We've unlocked our map. So that part's working. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. Corporation has granted us the ability to lease more land and expand our colony. And there's my clicky button. It opens. Okay. I think there's some cases here in terms of loading, unloading. We don't want... Maybe not. Maybe there isn't. I was thinking, like, if you loaded a game and you already had the world map unlocked... Or maybe, actually, maybe... So I shouldn't do it that way. So when you skip the tutorial... Maybe we shouldn't have it so that when you skip the tutorial, the world map unlocks. I think that's maybe the good way to do that, so that it is always an accomplishment to get there. I like that. So let's get rid of that there. That way it's always locked until you get to that reputation target. That also gets rid of that ambiguity as to whether it's locked or unlocked. That should solve the whole pattern. Alrighty. I'm tired. My brain's tired. My brain's a little bit mush. I'm still grumpy about the microphone issue that I had at the beginning. Gonna have to sort that one out before next week. Yep. Gonna have to sort that one out. But I will be back on next week. You can tell my brain's a little tired there. There was zero going through my brain. There were no thoughts, no words, no nothing. That was just pure... that was a lag spike, if there ever was one. Yeah, thanks all for joining. Appreciate it. I'll be back next week, same time, same day. Hopefully one of these days we have something that we can push out and get people testing. I keep saying it, but every day we're a little bit closer. So anyways, again, appreciate folks dropping by. Hope to see you guys next week.